Yeah, so let's start, I guess.
Go for it.
So yeah, so hello. It's great to see you again. So would you mind telling us about yourself a little bit?
Ooh. Well, let's see. My name is Avril Matsui. I come from the middle of England, but I spent most of my adult life in Japan. I came here in the 90s as a jet. I was on the Japan Exchange and Teaching Program. And then I worked in Eikaiwa and then, met my husband, got married, had kids, and now I work at a university in Nagoya.
I see. And would you mind telling us what kind of things you explore in the university, or?
Oh yeah, my lessons are great, if I say so myself. So right now, it's really a great position for me because I get to teach exactly what I want to teach. Okay, and so I have this class that's called cultural diversity. And so we look at, students come to the class and they think that I'm going to be talking about, the culture in Britain or the culture in Italy and how that's different to Japan. I do talk about British culture a little bit, but we explore multiculturalism, we look at stereotypes and how that can lead to prejudice and racism, and we talk a little bit about biculturalism as well. And I love it, but it's a short course, and I only have them for 8 weeks. I wish I had them for longer. But yeah, it's great, actually. And then in another class, we do projects within the community. The students come up with projects that make a difference in the community, which is why the class is called Make a Difference in the Community, right? And so they have to, they have to choose their population, and it could be the elderly, it could be children, it could be their fellow students. They choose a population and then they design a project that they think will help them. So, and that's been really, really satisfying class as well. And then on top of that, I'll do just basic presentation classes. Right now, I don't teach any language classes per se, but yeah, those are the things I explore mostly.
Oh, okay. I see. So you do different types of cultures. Is that?
No, actually, I look at mainly Japanese culture.
Oh, I see.
I look at, prejudice within. So first of all, how we form these stereotypes and how we form these prejudices.
Mm-hmm.
And then I flip it to Japan and we talk about people's actual stereotypes of different types of people, because then, you need to explore those things.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to kind of try and change the negative stereotypes. I don't tell my students that, of course, but, they don't even realize that a lot of their stereotypes they hold of people of different phenotypes or different countries are negative until we talk about it. And then I'll have students say things like, oh, I'm really afraid of Black men. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And then, which is a sad statement, but it's great that I can say that in my class, because then we can explore it, right? Well, why are you afraid? Where did that come from? Do you think that this fear is based on truth? And then through that way, they're exploring their own prejudice, and they're very willing to do that. It's a thing with students now, at least I feel with my students now, they want to talk about those issues. They want to talk about all kinds of diversity, all kinds of issues within society.
Right.
And they want to reflect on their own views. Because, like yourself, as young people, they're going out into the world. And people get most value out of their lives when they feel they're doing something that is of service, I believe.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah, and that's a good thing, I guess, because in my opinion, this modern time, of social media and Instagram and stuff like that, only one narrative can get pushed, and it may or may not be correct all the time, and what I think is, for example, right, like Black Lives Matter is a huge thing right now. And I support the movement, and I'm quite happy about what is being said out there. And I think it's a very important thing that that people and the world should understand, is that this racial prejudice against African Americans or colored Americans in general, excuse me, is, it's inappropriate in this time. But what I realize with posts on media sometimes is that they always push one narrative. And
I actually disagree with you there.
uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, there is that one narrative from the media, but I think, nowadays young people, especially Japanese people, and the older generation who used to be social activists themselves, they are the ones that are pushing a different narrative. There's this amazing thing on Instagram, and he wasn't my student, so I couldn't share it, but he did this amazing speech about why the Black Lives Matter movement is important, because of some people in social media, Japanese people, have been saying this doesn't relate to us, and he was able to kind of lay that out. It's just a young Japanese student. So I do feel that there are different voices out there now because of social media, something they didn't have. They didn't have before. But I also feel that with the BLM movement, okay, first of all, I think it's a couple of things that not annoy me about it, but I'm concerned about that, is because it's seen as an American movement, and it's not. Police brutality is a pandemic just as much as the coronavirus is, and we've been dealing with this issue in the UK for as long as I can remember and before. We've all had our riots. It's happened in France and in Germany. It's not just in the US. So it's great that it's shining this light on the whole issue. But I think we have to remember that it is a global movement. But when you look at the movement in Japan, and how many Japanese people were willing and are willing to come out and, be part of the protests, to me, I think that's amazing. I think, yeah. Thousands of people all over Japan.